Hey everyone, this is Grant from Battle Garage. So he actually supplied me with a lot of the parts that you see on this AE86, and he's here today to help me do the first start of the car and hopefully get it running. So Grant, tell us about yourself really quick.
Hey guys, name's Grant. Operated a business called Battle Garage Racing Service.
What's your website?
It's shop.battlegarage-rs.com. So just type in Battle Garage on Google and you'll find us.
There you go, that's a plug.
Yep.
And then you sell all sorts of stuff, right? Like everything, like OEM parts and a lot of aftermarket parts for these Corollas.
So we all we do is Corollas, and that we have a lot of parts that range all the way from engine stuff, like mechanical things, like simple things like oil pumps and water pumps, maintenance parts, things like that. And we also cover the aftermarket side of the spectrum. So we've got suspension pieces, coilovers, brake kits, and then we have exhaust systems, etc.
Right.
And then we also have some restoration things like moldings and trims and stuff like that. But all we do is Corolla, so
specialists.
We're definitely like specialists in this field.
And the perk of that is you have a lot of cool like bespoke parts and just hard to find parts that I've noticed, which is really nice to stock it.
Yeah.
Like for example, the pilot bearing for the Beams J160 transmission.
Right.
You had it on the shelf.
Right. And actually, and part of the way we started actually is I really cared a lot about 4AG 20 valve engines. And we started this business basically just stocking stateside a lot of the parts that guys were having to import or were just not able to find it. So that's pretty much how the business started. And now, as you guys know, a lot of people are swapping in 3SGE Beams engines, even some other ones. So a lot of those parts are not available in the US as well. So we're now bringing those in and we're stocking them here in California.
Exactly. And then of course, like my ITV kit from SQ Engineering from Australia, we stock those too.
Yeah, we do.
Which is awesome.
And actually that's another piece of how we started is we were the exclusive distributors of SQ Engineering's parts back in the day.
Right.
And actually a lot of you guys don't know this, but back in the day, SQ was also a small company as well. And a lot of this stuff would come in sandwich bags. And so we'd have to sort it out on like a small table and figure out which parts were which kit. And since then, Sam has also grown, and so he's got really nice products. They're very beautifully CNC machined now, but the old days were fun for sure.
Has his labeling and affixing parts to the right bags and stuff improved?
Yeah,
it's gotten better.
Definitely, yeah. We pushed on him, but he makes beautiful stuff, and he's a great asset to the community for sure.
Absolutely, and you guys are too for stocking all these parts. So
yeah, we try to.
There you go. There's a plug. Go check out Battle Garage, and then also let's talk about your tuning side of things now. So
okay, well, some of you guys can tell. Some of you guys that know me, I kind of do everything. So I'm doing tech support. I'm also doing some ordering and stuff. Yeah. But part of my story is I got I had a Corolla that I took to college, and I put a 20 valve in it, and I didn't have very good results with the stock ECU.
What was this, like 10 years ago?
This is in 2008 or 9, something around there. Yeah, I was going to Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo.
Same here.
Yeah, we just found it today that we went to the same school actually. But anyways, it wasn't getting good results with that ECU. It just, they're kind of known to be, they have issues. And my buddy had his own standalone that he actually created from the ground up. Like he did the hardware design, he did the software. It's for some company called VEMS out of Europe. But we put that into my Corolla, and from then I just really fell in love with like standalone ECUs and tuning engines and stuff like that. And actually for a while to pay some of the college bills like beer money and stuff, I'd travel around California and I'd crash at people's houses and tune their cars, and like on the weekend. So like I'd finish my classes on Friday, I'd drive down there in my Corolla with my standalone, and then my laptop and like a wideband O2 sensor, and I'd go help guys get the road tunes set up, because there was just a lot of people were having trouble finding shops that would be willing to spend the time. So I was just a kid in college, so I had time, right?
Yeah.
So I'd go help them get their stuff running, and I met a lot of cool friends that way.
That's gnarly. If that isn't grassroots, I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
Crazy. So that basically kicked off and was your inception to tuning, huh? At an early age.
Yeah, more or less. But
around the whole ECU world of things, right?
Yeah. So I also did some Turbo Miatas as well, some 2JZ stuff. So it wasn't just Corollas, but most of it was Corollas.
Gotcha. Cool. So it sounds like you have your tuning repertoire pretty well set. How do you think this tune is going to go for this car in terms of like how standard it will be with a Link ECU and all that? Is there such thing as a standard tune?
Yeah, not really. I mean, the way I see it is do it correctly or don't do it at all, because it's very easy to take a car, put a standalone in it, and take it to the dyno and get good wide open throttle numbers. It's actually a pretty simple recipe. It's get it on there, do full throttle, adjust the ignition timing where most of the power is. By the way, it's not the fuel is mainly to keep it safe. The power is in the ignition timing. And anyway, so you can manipulate the ignition timing in the tables to get the peak power and get a nice plot, right? And then back off a couple degrees. And then so now you get your pretty dynograph, right? But what tends to happen is because tuning is expensive, people aren't able to spend the money to have the tuner go into the car and like make sure it starts well on a cold day or starts well on a hot day or drives well when it's in altitude, etc., right? And that's really where the meat of the tune is.
Yeah.
So
the day-to-day minutiae, right, that people kind of oversee.
Yeah,
overlook
them. Well, it's hard. It takes a lot of time, right? Because if you think about it, there's a Tesla in the background. This doesn't count, but your typical car with an engine is going to have thousands and thousands of hours of people massaging that map to have it work in all these environments, right? And so you take it to one tuner and say, hey, I'm going to pay you for a couple hours, to do the same thing. It doesn't really work, right? And that's part of the reason why the plug-and-play kits are really good, because someone has spent that time so other people can leverage that and get something that works well rather than just something that works only like at full throttle, basically. Yeah,
that's like almost economy at scale when you have a plug-and-play kit like that, right?
Yeah, it's just
repeat it easy.
Right. You're leveraging that time spent. Yeah.
Exactly. But for this case, we don't have that type of luxury, so we have to do it the old-fashioned way and kind of get into the nitty-gritty.
Yeah.
So cool. How about we get started?
All right, sounds good.
Right on. Let's do it.
I'm just gonna turn over and see if I see anything on this gauge. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
That should be fine. Hey, did it always turn over that slow, or is the battery really low?
Battery might be low. You can put a charger to it.
Yeah, I think you should do that because
It looks like it almost cranked.
Yeah, no, it was sounding good actually.
Oh.
I'm basically just changing the fuel table now that we have it actually running.
Oh, okay.
And adding some more fuel under higher throttle loads, basically.
This thing's actually idling. How are you getting this thing to idle right now?
I think we actually got pretty lucky because considering you put an entire ITB system on it from nothing, and it's actually idling, it's pretty crazy.
That is pretty crazy.
But right now we don't have a wideband O2 sensor hooked up.
Yeah.
But based on my experience with listening to the engines and stuff, I'm adjusting it to whether I know it's like too rich or too lean. I'm just gonna
Just by
feel and sound.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Has the coolant temp, intake air temp, and then the throttle position, which you can see it go up.
Right. This header's already starting to get some color.
Let's see. Get there. We have this laptop on the hood because we don't have a cable.
Oh yeah, from Link.
Yeah. So I'm using a
Get good feedback.
heads up display.
Hood's up this way.
Yeah, hood's up display.
And what exactly did you have to do in the tuning software to get it to run, idle, and blip like it did?
So I guess first of all, a little bit of background is you've got your Beams engine in your Corolla, but you still have your Beams wiring and you had your Beams ECU set up in here, which,
Right.
as you guys know, is not set up for ITBs or anything like that. You know, it's hooked up to an actual dashboard. It's a very different configuration. So Eric went ahead and he got the Link plug and play. I think it's called the Tesla Link.
Outside the Link. Yep.
It's supposed to be running the stock Beams engine, but this is dramatically different from a Beams engine. You've got your ITBs, you've got header, all this other stuff. So the first thing that happened is when I plugged in the laptop, is we were seeing that there's a lot of error codes because this thing was expecting a drive-by-wire system, right? It's expecting to control things with CAN bus, all these other things, right?
Right.
The other major accomplishment is out of the box, the Altezza is going to be using a MAP sensor, right? You've got a sensor that's looking at the gross airflow that's going through the intake, and it's measuring based off that.
Right.
And we've deleted all that, right? Because we have the individual throttle bodies.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to then go into the table here and set up the axes to be set up for alpha N, which is basically you've got your load set up as the throttle position sensor, and then versus RPM. Whereas before it was actually MAF airflow.
On the y-axis.
Yeah, it was mass airflow versus RPM, and so we've set that up. And based on my experience doing a lot of 20 valves, I set up the ignition, the fuel table to kind of approximately what I'm used to seeing with alpha N, which is a lot of airflow actually at lower throttle openings, and then not so much later on, just because the throttle's breathe so much.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean,
Almost blew up the ECU.
that's right. Actually, you can probably.
Yeah, I'll probably talk about that. So basically, some of the sensor wires that I had hooked up for the wideband didn't know which wire went to what, so they were loose, and they accidentally touched the header, and that created a short. But thank God there's a fuse in line to the ECU, so that popped, and then we were able to save it. But
Yeah.
that was a big scare. That was pretty sucky. But lesson learned: don't leave wires hanging, and always be very sure about what you plug in. And then what did you have to do in terms of like the actual tuning to get it to kind of idle and blip and all that and all?
So we're actually flying blind right now because we don't even have a wideband. I mean, this is like literally first start. We weren't even sure if we were going to be able to get this far today. Right. I just want to come here, see if I can hook up my laptop and see if the sensors are hooked up. But luckily, we were able to jam through in a couple hours and actually get to the point where it's idling, running, and blipping. Once you have the engine idling and you can actually give it some throttle and stuff like that, then it's a matter of getting the car bolted, on the ground, running down the road, and then you can actually do some more fine adjustments. But just being able to get the engine to start and idle consistently is a big deal. So,
For sure. Huge accomplishment. That's a big hurdle today. So.
Definitely.
Sick. Dude, Grant, appreciate your help, man. Thanks for coming by.
Of course, man.
And then maybe I'll see you again soon to actually finish a tune or whatever, do the actual street tuning and then get this thing all the way through.
Sounds good.
Perfect.